Hello, it's Sherry again from Hillview, Kentucky. I shared some news with you earlier today about the locals in my town that are attacking me and trying to drive me from my home. I didn't mention to you that in 1996, I spoke to John Saul, a famous horror writer, and I used to write online at Random House and Simon & Schuster. Just go to their chat forums as a writer because I didn't understand cyber world. For over a year, all I did was write and go to publishing houses because I wanted to get published. Well, at the Random House, I had shared a few stories, and one of them was about a dark intruder that had appeared when I was small, and I thought it was my imagination until I got older, and then it appeared like an incubus at my house, and I said it was the darkness. It was like Satan. It was so black that he would never let me see his face. He was just a shadow. So he would sometimes creep in through the window and just sit by the bed if I was having breathing problems after I had a car accident and I was really sick, and I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was having breathing problems at night, and this thing would come and it would be by the bed, or it would like creep through the window. Well, I thought I was having nightmares until I met my husband, and I went to his house, and people in the house where he lived started seeing that at night, and they would tell me this thing came in their room and tried to smother them with their pillow, and they said one time he wore a black suit, but they would describe him just like me, solid black. And I'd say, you never see its face, do you? I said, I think it's the devil, because it's like he's the darkest. He's dark. He's so dark. He is the dark. It is the darkness of night, which means he never will step into the light. You know, the world is always spinning, so there's always daylight. But this thing will not let you see his real true identity, which is like people here that are attacking me. They wear the mask. Because they hide, they conceal their identity, but they all represent the beast, and they do the same things. Getting off the subject here, John Saul did a book, and he put me in it. He put my dad. He put my parents' street address. He put the creek in front of my house called Black Creek. He started asking me about this property of mine. And I told him I found a mutilated cat. And there was supposed to have been a devil-worshipping house across the street. They called it a devil church that burned to the ground. And they were supposed to perform rituals in the woods next door that is now a business across the street from me. Well, the land that we purchased was originally like over 20 acres. And we tried to buy the land next door, and we did get the guy did accept our offer. And then shortly before the closing, he asked if he could get out of the deal if we'd be so kind. And we'd waited 5 years to find land. We lived in a 500 square foot house just so we could find land. And then we found land, and then we lived here in a starter home because I wasn't going to build a home unless I could pay cash. So we did a little bit at a time, because I'm one of these people, I'll never pay interest. If I have to live somewhere in a shack for 5 or 10 years till I can buy a house and pay cash for it, I do. But we've finished our house a little bit at a time, and we've lived in it, and it wasn't completely finished until like a year ago. And then now the finishing touches are on, because I don't like to be in debt, and I never want a mortgage, and I pay cash. And so that's what we did. And now they want to try to take it away after they've been using me for experiments here. Worse than that, after we gave the guy the land, they wanted to put Section 8 housing in here. My husband didn't want to because the creek was having bad things in it, overflowing, because and also the septic plant here was getting bad ratings and could not handle all the extra sewage. And so they wanted to do it anyway. And people were dying on our street every year. They were ending up in our creek and stuff. The speed limit sign was way too high, and nobody would lower it. And so my husband got it lowered, and they pissed a lot of people off. Well, the more than that, my husband got the community together when he found out they were going to put that here in the neighborhood. And he knew not only was it going to drop the property value, but more than that, it was going to be unsafe for it. It was just going to be. It was going to contaminate the environment. Already you can smell the septic plant when you drive past it at night a lot, and it stinks really bad. And it would just been like a hazardous waste plant. And my husband cared enough about the environment. But up until then, he's always donated to charity every year. He's always helped people. We keep a low profile. He's a healer. He's a doctor. He's a great guy. He's one of these heroes, the real, true, genuine heroes that will sacrifice himself for other people, for the good of mankind. He never spotted anybody's business here, but I guess they considered us an outsider, and we didn't know it. You know, he never got into politics, and so now we ended up buying this property. Well, the writer put me in this book, and in the book, he kills me, says I'm a witch. They're threatening to come and kill me. Either that, take me to park, rape me, and murder me. The locals are, if I don't freely give my land away. And they've sent pictures of me with my face hanging in a tree. Well, they built a school next door. And the reason I think they want to run me off the property is they've been conducting experiments here in the occult with demons and sending me some kind of bad things. And they've tortured me for years. They had my stepson flown here. He said on government business, who hadn't been here since he was a kid, a boy. He and his stepdaughter Tava requested to visit here, and she'd never been to our house. And Chris, Bob's son, even said he wanted to visit. But they came here, and then they started telling me on the computer, winner takes all, give your soul to the devil. I said no, and then they say, sell your soul to the devil. I said no. And then they hack my brain, and they say, let the devil in. And I say no. They says, well, winner takes all. We're going to give your house to your stepkids because you will not let this transformation take place. But next door, there's a school. And there used to be a daycare just 2 doors down. So I was surrounded by happy children all day long, which brought good spirits. Well, I think they want to conduct experiments on the teenagers. And plus, I think a lot of these people are pedophiles. And I think they get kids hooked on drugs. But they want that school. And all they have to do is get their mobsters in here and make this just a gang mob street or a satanic street, which is what it was before that building burnt to the ground where the locals were meeting. Someone told me at the church end of the street a kid died in the getting baptized. But they want my house. And the car dealership next door just changed hands this summer, and American flag went up. And there's another business, the dentist office just put red, white, and blue flags, lights on their bushes instead of regular Christmas lights. And there are flags going up around here everywhere, and they're telling me they want to make me a slut for the locals and for the elite, and I better get into porn and all this shit. And I said, no. They said, well, we're just going to kill you. But most importantly, if they're doing this to me, I had 2 top detectives in here flown from New York. A guy named Michael that does all the detective work for banks. He came here, cost me $25,000 in security equipment that he wanted to have put here. They wanted $50,000. It cost me over $5,000 for him that I had to pay for his team to come in from Miami with expensive sweeper equipment. They found radio waves here that should not be here, that are being used to conduct bad experiments on us. They traced where they were coming from. They said people were coming on our property and leaving cutouts where they could watch us at night. They said they had to be military. It was skillfully done. They traced some of the tracks and stolen property that was being dumped back their purses at the back of our land to a neighbor behind us who he or his son he said a criminal past. And there's also a military colonel that told me he lives in the neighborhood behind me. So I'm surrounded by a lot of people with criminal records. One guy just a block over just got sent to prison for something to do with a child murder. I don't know if the child died in his care or he killed his girlfriend's kid. I don't know the details, but I was just told that. And I'm surrounded, they said, by murderers all around me. But the school's here, and nothing's happening. I mean, I don't let anybody come over here and cut over to the school or anything. You know, if kids are on the road and they need a ride somewhere, I'll give them a ride. I don't like to see them walking up to the store because it's not safe. But if a teenager is just walking, like this one little boy works at Ponderosa dishwasher, I'll take him because he doesn't have a car. You know, I'll help kids, but I protect them. I think my house being here helps to be a go-between to keep some bad people from getting in here that are doing these experiments on me. But this group that was stealing from me, not only did they use my material that I had, they invited me to a writers' conference, and they all used the deer antlers and skulls as their symbols. This elite group of writers and film people. And later, I noticed that the writer did a book called Nightshade. And so I received something 2 days ago with a threat, and it said Nightshade, and it said, someone on your property is going to get shot and murdered, and it's gonna be blamed on a hunter, and it's gonna look like an accident. And they make all these threats, but they're for some reason trying to reenact the book, like the Horror Writer's book, by putting me in it. And they, for some reason, are just terrorizing me to try to make me write new material. They are putting their crimes in their work. So I did a story. Oh, another thing before this video runs out, because I'm running out of space on my phone. I did a story, and at the beginning, the Indians let the Puritans have the land, and the white man, because they knew that it was cursed, and it was cursed up at Salem. It could not be exorcised. It was a forbidden evil that was just here ancient, that they didn't understand, they couldn't exorcise. Well, they put that in this story, and they turned part of my story into Book of Lost Memories, and they called the town Silent Hill, but it starts off with the intro to my story, everything that happened, some of the characters from the story, and it seems like it's linked to Illuminati, and Sony did the game, and they have streets named after John Saw, Stephen King, Anne Rice. And I'm saying this because in the story, they torture all these children. They murder them, dissect them. They get them to commit suicide. Right now, I think kids are the target. They're feeding these monsters. That's why they're letting people have all the babies they want. They do not need to be doing those experiments in that school that they're doing to me, controlling my mind, invading my thoughts. They say they steal not just my dreams. They're into dream stealing. They're into trying to damn. But there'll be no one to watch those kids and try to keep this environment safe. And I imagine if you check that school, I've got hidden cameras here. They tell me what me and my husband do in bed. They tell me what we say. I imagine there are those cameras in every school, if not that one next door in this town. And there are people that are being tortured and driven insane and experimented on that don't have a clue. And if these people that are working for the dark side only knew they were doing it to their kids, they might change their mind. But for them to teach their kids how to shoot, hunt, and be pirates and killers, I think they're too dumb to even give a shit, really. I think this generation's been dumbed down through drugs and crime and mind evasion and entertainment, all the evil stuff that just feeds the pleasure senses. So, you might kill me to try to see what's happened to my land, since you put all this stuff here, these radio waves and stuff, to truck in the stuff you're doing and to invade my thoughts and to torture me and slowly kill us in our home and give my husband cancer, like you said, after years of abuse, sleepless nights, terror, break-ins. I would think that next door would be their target place, because there's all that young new blood, and they're putting cameras everywhere and filming people without their awareness, even in the restrooms, even putting cameras in the toilets. And they took pictures of me for years I didn't know about. Only someone revealed this to me at the end of last year. They said they were drugging my food, and when my husband was away a year at Indiana getting additional medical training, they said they were knocking me out, coming in my home and taking nude pictures of me in my sleep and doing terrible things to me when I was unconscious. And this guy said that made him feel really bad, but he said that he can look at my eyes all the time through the camera when I have my phone. He said what they were doing was making these bad spirits come, and they said that they were transforming me, and that they'd see my light fade, and they said, you're not that same person that used to play with the puppy in the picture that was just loving and would water plants to death, that was all heart. They said, we have made you a monster, and you're being invaded. And they said, I need to realize that the good girl's gone and the Sherry's gone and she'll never be back and she's damned. They tell me this all the time. And they say, accept your true self. Join the dark side and let the beast fully take you over. That's the nightmare I'm living. And I'm just tired of suffering every day.